Hallelujah. A while back, someone stole my air compressor out of my garage. So I was with my brother last Saturday, I think it was, Saturday a week ago, and he had these nice security cameras. So he talked me into getting some. I've caught a baby possum, a hummingbird in the garage, and a couple bugs flying around that lets me know there's something moving around. Hallelujah. We've been covering a refuge for the last week. I thought there's no other chapter almost in the Bible that covers traumatic experience. And I just want to take you through that. Renee, just leave the picture of the thing up there for a little while. And let me just give you a highlight of this story. There was a ship, an Egyptian ship, traveling to Rome. Had some prisoners. In fact, it had about 276 people on it. And they were going, and the only trouble is it was it was in September, and if you don't get to where you're going in September in that area in October, November, and December, they have these massive storms. So they head out, and they are in this ship going along. That bad weather, they found it impossible to stay on course. Now remember, we have all these GPS things. How do you remember the sailors could tell where they were? The stars. That's the only thing. They would try to follow their maps and see how far they're going, and then they could line up with the stars. I always thought that was quite amazing. Wish I could learn that. But after much difficulty, they finally made it to the southern coast of an island of Crete and docked at a place called Fair Havens, or Good Harbor. And they were there. This was a humongous ship, had 276 people. We believe that this was a ship coming from Egypt, which was sort of the bread basket of that time, and up in Rome, and it was full of grain. Paul says, says, I want to tell you guys, I don't think it's a good idea to go on. But the centurion, and Paul was actually a prisoner. The centurion and the owner of the boat says, no, man. The owner of the boat says, we got to keep going. We got to get this grain to Egypt. When a gentle southerly breeze came up, they lifted up their anchors, thinking it would be smooth sailing, but they were no sooner out to sea than a gale force wind, this infamous northeasterner, struck. They lost all control of the ship. And I'm sort of reading this out of the Message Bible. It says they were like a cork in the middle of the ocean. How many of you have been on a ship where you get seasick? Don't raise your hand necessarily. But that's the way they were. It says that we came under a refuge of a small island named Claudia, and they managed to get a lifeboat ready and lower the sails. But the rocky area along this particular little island prevented us from getting close. We only managed to avoid them by throwing off their anchors. This is getting desperate. The next day on the high seas again, badly damaged now by the storms they've been into, they began to dump their cargo. How many know it gets very serious when you start throwing stuff overboard? The third day, the sailors lightened the ship further by throwing off all the tackle into provisions, all the things they helped keep that ship going, and all their food, pulling out their M&Ms and all their stuff and throwing it overboard, trying to lighten it up so it'd stay afloat, stay higher into the water. It had been many days since we had seen either sun or stars, and they had no clue. It is interesting to see they're over here to the Gulf around Israel in that area, and when that storm comes up, it blows them clear across the Mediterranean Sea over here to another little island, which I'll try to mention. But it had been many days since they had seen either sun or stars. The wind and the waves were bad.